Okay, in this video we're going to teach you how to do significance tests on the TI Inspire. And it's again important to realize where they are. So we go Menu, Statistics, and you'll see number 7 is Stat Tests. So we select number 7, you see there are a whole bunch. Z-test, T-test, and 2-test, and all these. We'll use a lot of these. We're just going to do a basic introduction to the first 6 tests. Okay, and just like confidence intervals, there's 2 ways to get your data into your calculator. So I'm just going to select T-test here. And the first thing it says is, how do you want to input your data? Do you want it to be data, which you already have in your calculator in a listed spreadsheet, or do you want it to be from summary statistics or information in a problem? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to escape out here, and I'm going to show you an example of each kind. One where we take the summary statistics or the information from a problem, and another where we use data in our calculator. So I'm going to scroll down and put a problem up here. All right, and the manager of a fast food restaurant wants to reduce the proportion of drive-through customers who have to wait more than 2 minutes. All right, based on store records, that proportion is 0.63. To reduce this, he adds another person to the drive-through. During the next month, the manager collects a random sample of 250 drive-through times and found the number of customers who had to wait at least 2 minutes was 141. An alpha level of 0.05 did the addition of an additional person lower the proportion of people who had to wait at least 2 minutes. So that's a lot of information in there. But what we have here is we have a 1 proportion Z test. All right. So we're going to look here. We're going to go to Menu, Statistics, Stats Test, and I'm going to select 1 proportion Z. And you see, again, it asks me for certain information. PO is the null hypothesis. And so we've got to look up here and say, what are our hypotheses? Well, our null hypothesis is 0.63. That's the proportion of people who waited before the study was conducted, before the third person added. Our alternate, we're looking to see if it was lowered, so our alternate is going to be less than 0.63. Our n is 250 and our successes is 141. So we go here and it says PO, we put in 0.63. How many successes did we have? How many trials? And now the next one is, what's our alternate hypothesis? Well, our alternate hypothesis is that the proportion is less than our null hypothesis. We click down and we hit Enter. And then we hit Tab and we hit OK. And it gives us all the information we want. Okay, it says what type of test we did, the alternate hypothesis, the Z value, the P value, the proportion, the P hat, and our N. And you will use this information to interpret as appropriate. Since we were looking at an alpha level of 0.05, we see here our p-value is 0.01, and therefore we would reject this null hypothesis in favor of the idea that times actually were reduced. Now, the next way to do it, a significance test, is through having data. And so on page 1.2, I have data of the height of husbands and their wives. And my argument is that husbands are going to, on the whole, be taller than their wives. All right, so this right here is going to be a 2-sample t-test for means. So I'm going to go into Menu, Statistics, Stat Tests, all right, and right here I'm going to use a 2-sample t-test because I do not know the standard deviation of either population. And I'm going to put it in from data because I have data in this case. It says, what's my first list? Husbands. What's my second list? Wives. All right, we want to leave the frequencies alone. What is my alternate? Well, my alternate is that my husbands are taller than my wives. So I go in here and it says mean 1 is taller than mean 2. Well, since list 1 is my husband's, my mean 1 will be my husband's. So I click on that, I never pool it, and I click OK. And here is, I'm going to click up once, all my information I need. It says I did, up top it says I did a 2-sample t-test, what my alternate hypothesis is, what my t-value is, my p-value, okay, and so this is going to be rejected at any reasonable p-value, the degrees of freedom from my calculator, and all the other information you need. Now, I want to point out that again, we did not go over checking for conditions or any of the assumptions. That's outside the scope of how to do it on the calculator. But this is basically how you do significant tests on your calculators. Remember, they're under Menu, Statistics, Tests, and they're all very similar. You either do them from data or from the numerical summaries.